Good evening, ballers and ballettes. It's Coach Anand speaking. We got our co-host, Coach Oli,
What's good?
and we got producer P in the building.
What up? What up? What up?
And thank you for tuning into our sixth episode of Been a Minute. Really enjoyed this process we've been going on, and I'm glad we've had viewers actually viewing our stuff. It feels really good about us, and we'll hope we're going to continue to build on new content and keep interviewing all these um
Wonderful guests.
wonderful guests. Yeah, sorry, I had a little brain malfunction there, but yeah, we got this really special guest for everyone here today. Producer B is gonna take that off from me from right now. Yeah, Producer B, take it away.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in. It's crazy that this is our sixth episode already. It just felt like yesterday we started, and boom, 6 weeks later we're approaching end of season one. This wonderful guest of ours, I have the utmost respect for him. Is an amazing person. He's an amazing coach. Started his coaching career back in the late '60s at Burnaby Central, and was there for about 3 years. After that, he spent 35 years coaching at Richmond High Colts. As well, then after that, he spent 3 years coaching at VC and 7 years at St. George's. An interesting tidbit: prior to taking over at Richmond, the Colts had won only one game the year before. Never made playoffs in school history. Fast forward, and this fine gentleman won 5 provincial championships while he was at Richmond. Very impressive stuff. Several times they played the number 2 team ranked in the U.S., and each time lost in the last minute. They had wonderful times traveling from California to Hawaii, Nevada, internationally over to Cuba, Yugoslavia, Croatia, Serbia, and Thailand. He retired from teaching in 2002. And after that, he took up the position at VC, where they finished third in 2010, second in 2011, and fourth in 2012 at the BCs. While he was coaching over in Thailand and hanging out on the bench there, he got a call from St. George's. Originally turned it down, but ultimately when he got back, he met with the AD and ultimately made the right decision to take on the job at the Saints. He's had the great fortune of coaching many wonderful players, to name a few: Kyle Russell, Pasha Baines, and Phil Scrubb. Many of his players were going to play D1 and D1 and Pro. I mean, I can just go on and on, list all the accolades, but the one that really impresses me the most is that over his illustrious career as a coach, he himself has had 150 of his players go on to become coaches themselves. Next season, he will be coaching at David Thompson Secondary. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce everyone to Coach Bill Disbrow. Coach, you there?
I am here. Thank you, and thanks for the introduction.
You are most welcome. I hope I did it some service, some good service there. I'm sure I missed a lot, and we'll get into the nitty gritty about your background and what fuels you as a coach. And thank you for being with us today. And Coach Anand and Coach Oli have some questions for you. I believe Coach Oli is going to start out today.
Yeah, before I do, that sounded like he kind of made you sound like you're the Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich of BC.
Yeah, well, I'm just certainly as old as them or older. That way I'm similar anyway.
So let's just get started. So the viewers want to know where you're from and where did you grow up?
I was born at St. Paul's Hospital in downtown Vancouver, the west end of Vancouver, and I live only a few blocks from there now. I grew up mostly in Burnaby.
Oh, so you're a local. You're our first ever guest that's from BC.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school, and what did you take?
I went to high school at Burnaby Central, and then I took economics at UBC. And towards the end of that, I was coaching at the same time I was going to school. And so then I was told that if I want, or at least I wanted to coach varsity, and the only opportunity was at Richmond High School, the worst program in the world. And I hesitated, but when I got there and had and really fell in love with it. And the principal said, if you want to continue coaching, you should think about becoming a teacher. So I went and got my teaching certificate at Simon Fraser.
How long have you played basketball and where did you play?
Well, I played it poorly, but I played for quite a while. And I played in high school at Burnaby Central. And then I went on to, mainly it was just beer league stuff for me. I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't dedicated enough. I learned an awful lot about what it takes by knowing what I didn't do. And then I seeing, just building from that and what it did take from watching great players and then being around them and supporting them.
So did you play like men's league, like recreationally?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
But I was never any great star. I won't claim I was.
How long have you coached for?
I don't think in years. It took, I'm guessing 50, low 50s, somewhere in there.
Nice. That's quite a while.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah, it's for sure.
So tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got involved with coaching, why you got involved with coaching, and how
Okay.
was coaching those teams that won 5, how it was coaching those teams that won 5 provincial championships. That's pretty amazing.
That's a few questions there. So the first one is, how
Yep.
did I get involved in coaching? And that had to do with I was going to university, but we had a local outdoor court called Dixon's. It was at a family named Dixon's place. They had a wonderful outdoor court, and so we all played there quite a bit. And some of the younger guys were my neighbors, and I went down to watch them at my old high school at Burnaby Central, watch the tryouts for the teams. And they hadn't had grade 10 in a while, but they had one class of grade 10 boys, and 3 of those kids were from my neighborhood. So anyway, I went to watch, and then the coach said that after that, probably none of them were going to make the, they had 2 teams, a senior team and then what they called an intermediate team. They weren't going to make those. They were only in grade 10, and they weren't going to have a junior team, basically because they didn't have a coach, and also because he said none of these guys can play anyway. So I said, well, if it's just because you don't have a coach, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Never wanted to be a coach, but I would come and stand around a gym if it meant those guys could have a team. So that's where it started. And so they said, okay. And I did that, and I didn't have any, most people who go into coaching, I think, have some concept that they have a great idea about some fabulous offense or some concept, some philosophy. I had none. And so I just started, all I could think of was, these guys don't look like basketball players. How do I make them look like basketball players? So I watched carefully what good players did, how they moved, what their form was, etc. And I tried to pass that on to those guys. And we played a ton. And as a result, with only 14 boys in the school, we ended up, and back then basketball was much bigger than it is today in terms of schools. But we ended up finishing, every school had a team, every school tried to be successful. And we ended up tied for first place in the league, in the grade 10 league. And the first 2 years, at least 2 out of the 3 years I coached, I don't really remember what happened third, but it was they were all about the same quality of teams. But I started to think I knew what I was doing. I didn't, but I did know the formula for making guys better players, and better players win. And it's not really about coaches anyway. And so that became, never synthesized that into an actual philosophy, but it became one eventually. I don't think it's the coaches that are the answer. It's making your guys as good as you can, as good as they can be, and giving them the freedom to play, and you'll beat other teams very, very regularly.
See.
So anyway, you asked about the championship teams.
Yeah.
I mean,
how was that?
Well, I had a lot of great teams. One of my greatest teams didn't win the championship. In fact, they will be on the LAC broadcast, which are taking place right now. One of the against Terry Fox, where we should have won. It's our own fault, my fault. We didn't win. I'm not saying it was anybody else's, but I've had quite a few. I think we've made 10 or 11 BC finals. So we've had some good teams. Now, the championship teams were usually, they were just a step ahead, except for that one team, which was just as good. But the amount of work that went into that success is amazing, and it was there every year. Just some years you have a little more talent, and it comes together a little bit better. But we had a pretty good run with a lot of teams, and it was just fun to see how much better we got over the year. And it was usually, I thought it was always pretty remarkable, and I just thought it was a tribute to how how much it matters if you focus on the players rather than a system. I didn't have a system.
You focus on each player individually?
I want every player to believe at the end of practice that they got better that day, that I helped them to get better that day as players. I want them to fit into a concept, a philosophy of play that we might have, but that's a pretty general thing. Defensively, you have to be a cohesive unit. Offensively, you have to be cohesive mentally in terms of you support each other and you're trying to get a good shot for the best shot for the team every time down. But I let that happen within an individual framework on offense an awful lot. And so I think guys really, really like it when at the end of the day, they know they learned something that enabled them to be a better scorer, enabled them to be a better defender, etc. I didn't teach them to put their foot here, pivot here, look at this guy. If that doesn't happen, check down, check down, check down, do that. I don't even understand how that works. Lots of guys are great at that. Yeah. I don't even pay attention to it. My guys are just going to become great players, and I hope. I mean, they have to want to be. They have to put in 1 million hours, but we're gonna work on the things that make you a player.
Honestly, that's awesome. That's a great mindset.
Well, the guys have liked it. The players like it, and you know, and then to do with that, then in terms of game thing, one of my main strategies has always been that if we put in the time, and our guys put in amazing time because they truly fell in love with the game. It became a tradition at Richmond High that every kid on the team from spring right through to the end of the next season would be in the gym every single morning at 7 o'clock, all of them on their own. I did very little coaching at that time. They just came in, they shot, they worked on things. They played a little bit, but they mostly worked on skills and stuff. And that went through the season, and we were practicing too. So there was tremendous dedication in the summer too. So they became very darn good. And we challenged them by getting great players to come in and play against them. You know, for all the coaching we do, we're trying to accelerate the learning curve. If you went out and played, if you'd never played or hadn't played much, and you went out and played every day at Kitts Beach, you got every shot you ever took blocked, ball got taken away from you over and over again, and you cared, then pretty soon you'd start to not make those mistakes. But that's a slow process, and it can be discouraging. So my job is to try to teach them, why did that happen? What can you do? What messages, what signals were you sending to the defender? You know, how did you read that as a defender? If they can learn those things, then they can learn to just play. And they really, really like it. So it seemed like our guys truly fell in love with playing the game. And it was always the worst day of the year was when the season ended. The whole team would break down and cry, whether it was at the BCs or was anywhere. They couldn't believe it was over because they had done so much together. And I think that also you need a really positive environment. It can't be phony.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling in the world when the season ends.
Oh, you know, one of the teams that won the provincials for me, and we weren't very big. Our post players were 6'2", but we went undefeated all season and we won it. And it was such a fabulous group. Well, they're always great kids, but this group was so fantastic. It came down to the last practice of the season, and I went down. We had our office was downstairs from the gym. So I left and I went downstairs, and the BCs were coming up next. And when I wondered why nobody came down to the change room. I came up, it was 45 minutes later, and nobody had come down to the change room. And so I went up to see what was going on, and they were all lying on the floor crying. And it was just, it can't be over. It can't be over. And that was before the BCs, because that was their last practice. And that's when, to me, that's success. That was one of the greatest feelings of my life. I mean, I felt horrible too, and I think I cried too. But it was, you know, it's just an amazing thing when people care that much and you share that joy, that love together.
The passion for the sport.
Yeah, and for your teammates and for what you've been through, the journey that you've been through is so special, and it lasts forever.
Absolutely. Except besides basketball, do you play any other sports?
I played football. Yeah, I grew early, so I was a big guy when I was young. I'm no longer am, but I was a big guy when I was young, so I played some football, and I loved that. I hated practices, but I loved the games.
That's pretty cool. What's your favorite food and why?
Oh, well, I mean, I like most foods. I'm a foodie. I'm a restaurant guy. I go out a couple of nights a week, and I think I keep the local restaurant scene going a lot. And so Italian, if I had to just pick one,
Yeah.
that would be it.
Is it the pasta or the pizza?
Not as much the pizza. I like pizza, but it is more the pasta and
Yeah.
and having the cheeses and the added pastos before and everything. I think going to an Italian restaurant is like kind of a fun experience instead of just a dinner.
Yeah, there's a lot of selections that you can choose from the menu.
Yeah, and you spend
Tremendous.
hours there. You know, some other foods I like a lot, but they seem to want you to come in and get out, you know.
Yeah.
So, Coach, before we go to the next question, Producer P here, are you a gnocchi fan or not a gnocchi fan?
I don't have gnocchi as often, but I love it. I tend to choose other things, but if I had gnocchi tonight, I would be very happy. Yeah.
Coach, what's one thing that not too many people know about you?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I drive fast cars. I like cars, and I've been fortunate to have some great ones.
Modern day Fast and Furious. I like it.
Yeah, I've had some awesome vehicles, and they brighten my life a little bit. I like that.
So that was my last question for you for these personal questions just to get to know you. Thank you very much for asking. Coach Anand has some more questions for you. Coach Anand?
Sure.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Very well, thanks.
I just want to take time out of my. I just want to say thank you really quickly for taking your time out of your day to talk with us. We really appreciate it.
No, I enjoy it. Thank you.
All right, so I'm just gonna get straight into the questions, like how Coach Oli was just going a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah.
Have you traveled much? And if so, what's been your best or most favorite trip and why?
I've traveled a lot, especially
Okay.
since I retired. I got lucky in the stock market, so I retired young. And I travel. I usually would leave. I would book my flight for 2 a.m. the night of the BC final. And so that was for maybe 10 or 15 years. I did that, and I've been an awful lot of places in the world, and I can't think of one that I wasn't happy I went to.
Okay.
Some you enjoy a little more than others. You know, I wouldn't want to live in some places, but I learned a lot by going there. And so I love Southeast Asia. I love Europe.
Yeah.
South America. My all-time favorite trip, and I just got asked to go again 2 days ago, was a trip to Africa and to a camp on the Zambezi River in Zambia.
Wow.
And it's in the middle of kind of nowhere, a national park, and it's an amazing experience, truly life-altering experience, because you're not at the top of the food chain, and you're this camp is different than most others. In most countries in Africa, if you run safari type things where people go out to look at animals, the guides must have a weapon, a gun that's, I forget what caliber, but it's a big gun, an elephant gun or whatever it is. And in Zambia, they're not allowed to have anything. So you go out, and we have wild animals in the camp. The camp is not fenced. So we have elephants in the camp 24 hours a day. We have hippos in the evening, and they're the most dangerous animal. And you have lions nearby that don't very often wander through. They haven't when I've been there, but I have been within 20 feet of a lion, and more than once. And I've been in I've had a crocodile attack within 6 inches of me.
No way.
And I've had a hippo attack without very much more distance than that. So it's been incredible.
Elaborate a little bit on that. You can't just say I had an alligator and hippo attack and then on to the next question. I need to hear more about that.
Absolutely. So the Zambezi River is an absolutely gorgeous river. It's not polluted at all. There's no industry on it anywhere. Yeah. It's a wide and shallow river, and it's infested with crocodiles.
Okay.
The first day that I was there, despite being a West Coast boy, I had never fished. And so one of the options was to go fishing. So we went fishing, and we're in a car topper aluminum boat, a fairly big one, but you know, it's like 6 people could sit in it comfortably.
Yeah,
but
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and there was a guide with us, and so he took us to this little pond, little side area of the river that was calm, and we're fishing. And towards the end of it, first of all, they tell you it's a beautiful sunny day, and don't be resting with your arm over the edge of the boat. Don't put your leg over or anything like that. There's things watching us. And okay, so we're all smart enough not to do that. I was in the back of the boat beside the guide, and he said, "Are you all finished? All done with fishing?" And we all said, "Yeah." And we caught quite a few. I think I caught 6 fish that day. And so anyway, we were throwing them into a metal bucket on the side of the boat. And it was a thick metal bucket, like heavier than as heavy a metal bucket as you'd see on a big oil barrel, thick metal. And it wasn't as big as an oil barrel, but it was a small one. And it was attached to the boat with a metal cable right beside my leg, and then with holes in it to keep them. We throw the fish in there and they stay fresh in the water. And then so as soon as he said, "Are you finished?" And I stood up, and then he turned on the motor. And the instant he turned on the motor, a crocodile came up right beside 6 inches from my leg with the whole bucket in his mouth. And he twisting and turning and crunching. And my being a genius, I immediately pulled my phone out of my pocket, tried to take a picture of this thing that was right beside my leg. And they pulled me away like, "What's wrong with you?" But anyway, I didn't get a picture. But and then he couldn't, the bucket was powerful. He put holes in it, new holes in it, but he couldn't get it off the boat. And I guess he didn't know what he was trying to do anyway. He thought he was getting at the fish. And then he went away, and we drove away. And when we got back, we looked at that bucket. Boy, oh boy, that was quite an attack. But so that was my crocodile story. And the hippo story was, we had, you know what a pontoon boat is?
Kind of.
Yeah, well, there's two pontoons with a deck on top, and
yeah,
this is a fairly small one. That we can go out in the evening anytime. You get your options what you want to do. So we went on the river, I forget what they call it, the river cruise, and you go down and you can see animals everywhere from the river. And in the evening you go out, usually have a couple of drinks and some appies and stuff, and cruise down the river slowly. But then the morning we went out this one morning, and you see hippos everywhere, and so you see this.
Very dangerous though.
Yeah, very dangerous and very calm in there. And they all look like Homer Simpson, but they are not nice. And so we went by this pod. There was a bend in the river, and there was a pod in there. So you just go around the pod, and we carried on. And I happened to look behind, and I saw 2 of the bulls decided they didn't like us. So they were coming after us. And we only have like a 25 horsepower outboard on this pontoon boat. So I told the guide, I said, "These guys are chasing us." And he gave it all it had, but had nothing. So we could maintain the distance. We didn't get away from them, but we could maintain the distance. And then anyway, I thought it was awesome to see them. They created a wave that you could surf on. Like the power of these things that weigh like 4,000 pounds each.
Yeah.
And they're angry. So the next 2 days later, we went on the river ride again in the morning, and went around the same bend in the river, and there was a pod there. And I thought, well, that's probably the same pod. So I got my iPad out, and I thought, I'm going to film them if they come after us this time. I'd like to show people the power of these things. And they didn't follow. And then just as I gave up on it, I turned, and I was filming as I turned sideways to put the iPad back in my lap. And I saw this big air bubble come up about 15 feet away from the side of the boat. And I said, "Oh, hello." I still have the video of that. I said, "Oh, hello." And then I turned the iPad off and I put it down. At that moment, we hit a major rock in the river. And the boat went up on its side. And then in slow motion, I watched as everybody else, because I was beside the motor and right at the back, I didn't tip over, but everybody was tipping. They're on like lawn chairs. And they were all tipping over. And it was like, as I say, it just went in slow motion for me. And before, it probably took me a half a second or maybe less to realize that we didn't hit anything. We're under attack. And we were. And it was a hippo had come up underneath the boat, and he bit. That's who the air bubble I'd seen, I guess. And he bit right below my feet. He bit into the pontoon, and he was able, that big boat that would weigh thousands of, like it would weigh 1,500 kilos, I'm sure. I don't know what it would weigh. He lifted it right out of the water, and then he let it. Then it crashed back down, and luckily it didn't go. Or he couldn't tip it over. You'd have to get it up awfully high to do that. But and then we never saw him. Never did see him. He just disappeared. I think he headed off to the dentist because I don't think he realized what he was biting into. But we had to go to a little island very nearby and check out the damage. And he had put 4 holes about maybe 2.5 feet apart. into one of the pontoons, and luckily they're compartmentalized, so it was only one compartment, and the boat still floated, because where we had to get out and do the inspection was Lion Island, and didn't really want to be out there. But anyway, so there's my hippo and my crocodile story. So that's the greatest experience ever, and I'm going back.
Well, that sounds amazing. Hopefully you were safe this time. Hopefully you don't have to deal with any more crocodiles or hippos, because crocodiles are scared of hippos, so that's saying something to survive both of that.
Everything's afraid of them.
Yeah, I know, everything's afraid of them. I'm afraid of them. I live in Vancouver. Coach, what's your favorite NCAA team and why?
Well, I'm a sports fan. I watch hockey. I watch the NFL probably as much as anything, and I watch NBA. But my number one is NCAA basketball, and I only have one team I'm passionate about in sport, in all of sport, except my own, and that's Duke. I love my Dukies, and I've had amazing experiences with Duke, spending time there, and I just got sick today when I heard about their COVID test and that they were out because of that. Because I love those guys. I really fall in love with the guys on the team. I just think that they always have such high quality people. I love listening to DJ, and I love listening to Mark Williams, the big guy, and I just think it made me sick, because they were on a run, and I thought one more win I would have put them in, but it's their weakest team in years. But I'm passionate about that. That was probably my best ever basketball experience, was at Duke. And I went down 2 years ago to the ACC tournament. I watched Duke, North Carolina.
That must have been some experience, yeah.
Yeah, and it was an amazing thing. And I got them. The Notre Dame coach was my host when I was at Duke, and he arranged to get me row 7 behind the Duke bench for the whole tournament. So that was incredible. So I sat with the Duke families and stuff.
That is crazy. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So I'm a genuine Dookie.
You're a genuine Dookie. All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Producer P had a question for you. Producer P, you want to ask it?
Yeah, Coach. Before we have to go to commercial break here, we just wanted to know. I mean, before I even asked my question, you mentioned about Zambia. So an interesting story about myself and my family. I was born in Nigeria, and my dad ran the research station in Zambia.
Wow.
I believe it's my sister was actually born in Zambia, and my brother was born in Uganda, and I was born in Nigeria. But it was interesting because my family spent several years in Zambia, so it was very interesting to hear your story about Zambia. That was awesome. Last question before we go to commercial break here, real quick, is what is your all-time favorite basketball movie?
Basketball movie, is that what you said?
Yes, your all-time favorite basketball movie.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you for a second there.
Oh, sorry. I said, what is your all-time favorite basketball movie?
I only remember one. Generally, I don't like sports movies. Hoosiers was good, but I watched that a long, long time ago. But yeah, they're usually so phony to me. I haven't watched very many.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's a good movie. It's a good movie, definitely.
Yeah, I liked it.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. On the other side of the commercial break, we'll get into what it takes to be a champion, championship pedigree in sport and in life with Coach. We're joined today on episode 6 with Coach Bill Disbrow, formerly at BC, Richmond High, and St. George's. We'll be right back. This commercial is brought to you by Sports Unlimited. They're located at 12837 76 Ave in Surrey. Shout out to TJ Johal and Gurj Bindra at Sports Unlimited. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Our commercial break again was brought to you by Sports Unlimited out in Surrey. This evening we are joined by the legendary Coach Bill Disbrow. Coach, you still with us?
I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you very much for again taking the time to speak with us. Today we're joined with Coach, and we just got to know him a bit in the first part of the show. The topic of today's show is simply about championship pedigree, how we build that in life and how we build that in sport. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty, and without further ado, Coach Anand, take it away.
Hey, Coach. I just have one final question for you. I believe it's like one of the most important questions. So here it is. What do you believe it takes to be a true champion? You know, you've been very successful in your basketball coaching career. So as a student athlete, I just really want to know, what does it take?
Well, it takes caring more than other people do. Everybody, you know, there's the old saying that everybody would like to win a championship, but not very many people are willing to do what it takes to win a championship. Yeah. And that's just very true. That's the way life is. And you can't achieve abnormal things without doing abnormal work. If you're going to do regular things, if you're going to be committed on an average level, then that's roughly where you're going to end up. Now, you obviously God-given talent will play a role, but the people who truly excel have to do more than other people, and you know, that's just there's just no way around it. I mean, you listen to what Michael Jordan did, what Kobe did, all of my great players, they were all the same people to some extent. They outworked everyone else.
I love that answer. Yeah, it's totally a Mamba mentality answer right there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach. I think my co-host, Coach Oli, has another question for you.
Hey, Coach Disbrow. So, all right, my question for you on championship pedigree is, how can a student athlete achieve success both on the court and off the court, like in life? And what are some of the tools you feel that they need to achieve this success?
Well, certainly in sport, I think it's sometimes a mistake to focus on the end product. Like, I think it's a mistake to say, my basketball journey will have been a success if I get to Division I, or if I become an NBA player, etc. I think you got to focus on who you are today, and if you do the best you can today, you really work like hell, and you do everything possible today, then you'll achieve whatever level was possible for you. So success should be measured, I think, today. It shouldn't be measured tomorrow. Now, of course, you're making progress towards things that you'd like to achieve, but I hate it when I hear people are in it to get to the next level. That really bothers me, because if that's the case and you don't get there, you have an injury, or you're just not good enough, or you don't grow enough, or whatever it is, does that mean that everything you did was a waste of time? I think what you should have done was say, I'm going to be the best player I can today, and tomorrow I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And here's the time I'm going to put in. Here's how I'm going to work at it, and I'm going to get it done. And if you do that, then you enjoy those days. Enjoy that team that you're with. If you like basketball, like it today. And then if you do that, then I think you end up getting to the highest level. I did hear Michael Jordan on, I don't watch Oprah. I just don't watch those kind of shows. I got nothing against her. But years and years ago, he was asked, if there's a kid out there that wants to be the next Michael Jordan, how does he do that? And he just said right away, well, you can't want that. I mean, that's a dream. That'd be nice for somebody. But he said, I never expected I was going to become what I did. Had some luck along the way, but I was every day committed to being as good as I could be. And I competed as hard as I could every day at practice. I did every drill as hard as I could. And then things fell into place and I got where I was going to. But just said, don't aim at that. Just be there today. So absolutely. I think that's really important.
Yeah, of course. I totally agree with that. Thank you so much for answering my question, Coach Producer P. You have any questions?
No, Coach, that is, you know, great information. And, you know, I agree wholeheartedly, is, you know, seize the moment, take each day by day, and, you know.
And focus on the process.
Focus on the process, exactly. You know, I think.
Do you have a moment? Do I have a minute for a great story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so in 1992, and I never think of years, but I know Steve Nash is playing tonight on the LEC broadcast. It was not, instead it was 1992. So my team that year, we were pretty good. We made it to the BCs and stuff. But anyway, one of my players, a captain, just one of the greatest human beings I've ever known. People skills that nobody has better. And so after he finished high school, we didn't win anything, but he went on to university. He came back to see me. He told me he was thinking about going into law. What did I think about it? And I said, well, I think that with your people skills, you're going to do well at anything. You're smart and you're a hard worker. But what about something like the hospitality industry or real estate, where your personality would pay off? I don't know if that had any effect or not. But he went out and got his summer job at the Cactus Club in Richmond. We had a coaches meeting a while later at that Cactus Club, and we were put in Andy. His name is Andy, and we put in Andy's section, and he didn't know we were there, and I hadn't planned it. But anyway, we saw him coming out, and he had a birthday cake in his hands and with candles on it. And there was a table. He was a really handsome young guy, blonde hair, blue-eyed athlete, you know. And he came carrying out this birthday cake to this table of young women that were maybe early 20s, and he went and took it over the table. He did a handstand on top of the table, on top of the birthday cake, and sang "Happy Birthday" upside down. And they were just, you know, Google-eyed, like, oh my God, they're all in love. And it was funny to watch, because I know Andy, and there's not a phony bone in Andy's body. And then he saw us and he said, "Hi, coach." And he came over, and I said, "Andy, you're going to get the biggest tip from those girls. They're in love with you." And he said, "Well, before you say anything else, I should make clear to you that I couldn't care less that they leave me 10 cents or $1,000. I don't do it for that. I do it because I want to have fun, and I want the guests to have fun. And I come and I love my job every day." And that's how I approach it. I don't care. So at the end of his time there, 3 months, I think he worked there, Andy's section had broken all Cactus Club records for tips. And they all knew why. They all knew who it was. Andy focused on the process. He wasn't there saying, you know, the stereotypical lines of, "Hi, I'm your server, I'm so and so," and all that stuff, which is nice. I got nothing against that. Andy was just Andy. And a great human. So at the end of the 3 months, he had to go back to university, and they said to him, "Well, would you consider not going back to university and joining us in management?" He's only been there 3 months. And I don't remember the answer. I don't remember if he went right directly back, but Andy is now the COO of Cactus Clubs, owns 5 or 6 of them. He owns the one on the beach. The guy is a huge success, and everybody that works for him still knows who he is, but it's his personality and his hard work. But he focused on the process. He wasn't trying to lead the world in tips. He wasn't trying to become a restaurant manager or owner. He was just so damn good at it because he did the right things. Anyway, there's a lesson for process over outcome.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's amazing. And, you know, I think sometimes people associate the whole trust the process with the Philadelphia 76ers when they used several years ago to tank. Yeah. And that's not what we mean.
No, that's not what I mean.
That's not what we mean. Coach, before we let you go, if there was 1 or 2 things you could say to, so our viewers or our listeners, actually, I should say, our audience is, you know, grassroots level players, their parents, sometimes coaches as well too. But if there's one thing you could say to grassroots level players, what would that be?
Don't count on anyone else to get it done for you. You know, like, people can help you, they can provide you with gym time and stuff, but it's going to have to come from within you. Every great player, if you read the story of every great player, it's going to be about what they did personally. The time that when it's snowing, they shoveled the driveway so they could shoot on those days. They broke into gyms because they couldn't find a place. They didn't rely on somebody else coming in and saying, "Here's what you're going to work on today. Here's the set number of things you're going to do today. And this is the time tomorrow." They take advantage of those situations, but nothing stops them. They say, "I am getting this done. And whatever it takes, I'm going to get it done." That's what great players do. And it doesn't mean you're going to make the NBA, but you're going to be as good as you can be.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, Coach Disbrow, thank you so much for spending your time coming onto our show and sharing your unique stories and amazing coaching experiences with us. So yeah, on behalf of Forum Basketball Academy, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Coach. We'll see you later.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right, folks, we just said goodbye to Coach Disbrow. Usually we say the man, the myth, the legend, but there's no myth about him. It's just the man, the legend.
He's
Coach
real.
Disbrow, we thank you for being with us. We're going to go to a commercial break. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back. Our commercial break was brought to you by Sports Unlimited. They're located out in Surrey. Shout out to TJ Johal, owner and founder of Sports Unlimited. Gents, I'm speechless.
Something.
Of course. Well, what did you guys did you guys think, and what did you guys take? What was your take home from Coach Disbrow?
I'll go first. Like we said earlier in the podcast, he's like the Greg Popovich of BC basketball. He's been around. He's been coaching for 50 years, and like he's seen a lot of stuff. And I feel like if anyone who has the privilege of being coached by him, take it seriously, because that's a once in a lifetime moment right there.
Absolutely. Coach Oli?
Yeah, he's honestly a very genuine person. I've actually personally played him in my senior year when he was at David Thompson, and just seeing him how the way he talks to his players, how the way he coaches, it's very motivating, and he makes you want to get better individually. Like he motivates you to get better.
Yeah, no, for sure. I had the opportunity. Having coached at Kits, we played St. George's in VC, but we played St. George's when he was at St. George's quite a bit. And my last story with Coach is we rewind back to the 2019 Lower Mainlands, but even before that, we go January 2019. We're playing at Saints, so Kits versus Saints, and we're playing in their house. The gym is packed. And we beat them up pretty good. We beat them by 30 in their own house.
Wow.
And I mean, that year we had, shout out to Luca Dolman, Peter Lee, and Everest and Owen Cutler, and the rest of the gang there. But we didn't have Luca that game because Luca was still hurt. Well, fast forward now to the Lower Mainland semifinal. Who do we get? Saints. And we said to our guys, like, hey, we're not gonna go beat them by 30 again. There's no way. Because Coach is way too good of a coach, and that team is way too skilled. And let me tell you how that game was a dogfight. That game was an absolute dogfight. Because the thing, as you guys know, in Lower Mainlands at Quad A, if you win the semis, you automatically qualify for provincials, right? So the final is just a formality. So it's a dogfight. And that year, we were top 10, Saints was top 10, VC was top 10. Well, 3 or 4 of us were playing in the semifinals, and one of us wasn't going to make provincials. So long story short, we beat them in the semis. We qualified for provincials, and to me that was great. It was a shining moment in my coaching career, but it made me sad too, because they had to go play their next game the very next day against Burnaby South. And unfortunately, they gave their valiant effort, but they lost and they didn't qualify for provincials. And that made me sad, because they deserved to be there. Coach Disbrow and his squad, they deserved to be at provincials, but it's just the way it goes. So once again, thanks, Coach, for being an absolute shining light, a legend. Your legacy lives on still, and I'm sure that you'll find success over at David Thompson. Gentlemen, with that said, and we talked about provincials, let's the last few weeks we've talked about the tiers of the boys. Let's now flip over to the girls side here over in BC, and we'll talk about Quad A girls. Coach Oli, who do you got as your top 6 or 8 teams in the Quad A side?
Definitely number one, definitely the Semiamu. Is that how you say it?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely dominating every team that they play. I think they've got one player that committed to D1 school. Got her name. But yeah, she's going to D1, and they've got crazy talent on that team. That's a really strong basketball program. Some other teams that are in the top 6, top 8 next year, probably Perry Fox, Burnaby South, Lord Tweedsmuir, Walnut Grove, Cowichan, and Kelowna.
Okay, all right.
Those are my picks.
Those are your picks. Coach Anand, who do you think?
Definitely Semiamu. Semiamu. Am I saying that right?
No, Semiamu.
Semiamu.
It sounded all the same.
I butchered that name. It's a tough one for me, but they are killing it right now. They're just taking it by storm. Like, they're playing Terry Fox, which is another good team. That's gonna be a tough one. Terry Fox, I don't think will take the dub, but they have been putting up numbers too. Same as Burnaby South. I feel like they've always been a good school, someone to be reckoned with. Yeah, and Couch, and they've been doing pretty well too. Basically mimicking just what Coach Oli just said a couple seconds ago, but yeah.
No doubt. I mean, shout out to Coach Allison McNeil over at Semiamu. She's built a really great program, and had there been a season this year, I would hedge my bet that they would have won it for a third straight year, won the BCs for a third straight year. Gentlemen, before we finish out the show, as of course, we each get a possession. Coach Anand, possession is 24 seconds.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
24.
24 seconds, right? 24 seconds.
Can I hear the question first before you start counting?
No. Do you when you play basketball, do you catch the ball and then say to the ref, "Oh wait, give me 5 more seconds"?
Well, I already know what I'm gonna do with the basketball. I'm gonna put it in the hoop, but this is different.
Guys, we have our tryouts coming up. Those who are listening, obviously, what would you say, Coach Anand, to a player who is going to try out for a team? What would your advice be?
Well, you just gotta. We're not looking for God-given talent. We're not looking for single players that are just, because basketball is about a team. We're looking for team players. We're looking for someone who could run back on defense, communicate well with teammates, can actually care and put their heart and soul into the game. And I swear, Coach Paul is the same way. If he sees a kid hustling back on defense but he's not the greatest scorer, and he sees the greatest scorer turning over and not running back on his own turnover, we're going to choose the kid who's been hustling back, because that's the type of players that we as foreign basketball want to coach. Other than that, just keep you calm, keep your cool, don't stress, and everything will play out fine. 24 seconds, Coach.
That's pretty good. That was your shortest one ever. Coach Oli, so let's say now we fast forward, a player makes a team or makes our team. What is your advice to them, to that player for the season?
For our season? Like AAU season?
For the AAU season.
Yeah. Probably give them some tips that I personally learned throughout my high school career, and while playing form as well. Some things that I would have done better on the court, and like tell them not to make those mistakes. And like Coach Disbrow said earlier, I'd like to teach the player how to reduce the amount of mistakes that they do on the court, whether that's like bad shots or turnovers. Just improve them better overall.
And 40 seconds later, he's done.
Is it not quicker than yours?
No, it was not.
Oh man.
Gentlemen, let's do some housekeeping here. So our tryouts are obviously upcoming. Check our socials. You can find us on Instagram at f.o.r.m._basketball. That's FORM with a bunch of dots in the middle _basketball. All the information you can find it there, or you can find it on our website at two locations: www.formbasketball.com/travel-team/tryouts. That's .com travel-teams-team-tryouts, or you can also just go to our website and just search under teams, and you will see all the information there. This has been a minute. We had earlier in our show, we welcomed Coach Bill Disbrow. We say the man, the legend, and we thank Coach. We thank you, our listeners, for tuning in each week and listening to our antics, listening to our stories, listening to our guests. We will keep going as long as you guys keep giving us the feedback and keep listening. So keep at it. Keep at it. Gentlemen, send us home.
That's about it. Thanks for tuning in to Been a Minute, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace out.